Ka-chow!
I get asked this question a lot. What is a fuse? A fuse is actually a tiny safety device that protects all of our electrical circuits. Nowadays in cars, we have so many different computers and things that are all operated by electricity. So we put these tiny little 10-cent fuses in line so that if for some reason we have backflow of electricity, we're now protecting those very expensive computers. So we have an electrical fuse box in both our cabin and our engine bay. So if you come check this out, we can actually see where the one is in the engine bay right here. Now this car, it's pretty easy to find. You actually have the map for our fuse box right here on the top. Let's have a peek at what that looks like. And then that way it actually lines up with what's going on in here. So let's say, for example, I needed to, like, all of a sudden my radio wasn't working or my backup lights. I could literally go and pull this 7.5 amp fuse and make sure that it is working. Now, also, again, I have had a problem in the past with my horn not working all of a sudden. I could check this 15 amp fuse. You can see where it says 15A right there. Now, I don't have a fuse puller that came in this kit, so what we're going to use is just a pair of needle nose pliers. These are a great tool to have in your kit of tools that you keep in your car. So when we're looking at a fuse, you see this little piece here? This tiny little piece of metal is continuous right now. So basically, if that were to blow, it would look exactly like a light bulb filament. We're going to show you what that looks like right now. Did you see it blow? See how it's gone? Ooh, okay, so see how it's no longer continuous in the middle there? It literally looks just like a light bulb filament, how it blew. With that blown, that basically means that the electricity can no longer pass and flow through this circuit. So right now, if I tried, I would have no horn and I would have no brake lights. So that's a really big deal. And you want to make sure that if your fuse is blowing, you understand why and you repair the problem before just replacing the fuse. Now, if you're in a pinch, usually what you'll have is spare fuses, and these spare fuses, you want to put one in that is the same amount or less. Okay, so if you have a 15 amp fuse that's supposed to be in there, you could put a 7.5 or you could put a 5, but you never want to put a 20 or a 30 amp because that can actually cause a lot of heat and cause those wires to melt and can cause a fire if for some reason you are still getting that backfed electricity and haven't solved the problem. So we're going to put this back in so that actually a good non-blown fuse at a 15 amp rating so that I can have my horn and backup lights back. Okay, so to put these back in, it does not matter if it goes this way or this way. You are going to stick this back in here. I like to use my fingers and then push it flat with my thumb, and that makes sure that it went all the way in. Now, if you'll remember, I said that there's a fuse box in our engine bay and a fuse box in the cabin. Now, can anybody think about why there would be two of them? Right on. If you guessed the fact that there are a ton of electrical components on the inside of the cabin, like our dome lights, like our radio, like our gauge cluster, we need fuses to those electrical circuits as well. So let's go look where that one is in this car. Okay, so usually, at least on a lot of Japanese cars, you're gonna look somewhere near here and you can actually see the fuses down here. Can you see that? But the little plastic piece that goes right here has the map on the back side of it. But if for any reason you didn't have the map, where do you think you could find it? Two guesses. Number one, your owner's manual, which is usually in your glove box. Number two, good old Google. That is our friend. Make sure that you can search for this. You're going to search your year, make, and model and look for your under dash or in-cabin fuse box in order to find that map. Alrighty, so this is just another example. In our engine bay here, we have what we can see is our fuse box. This one's a little less easy to tell because it doesn't say fuse and relay on it and it doesn't have that map on the outside. But if you're looking at the engine bay as a whole, you're really looking for a big plastic box. Now for this one, we're going to press these two tabs together and our map lives right here on the back side. Now the nice thing about this one is, do you see how we have a fuse puller here? Okay, so we don't have to have a special pair of pliers because we have this little tool, which is like our pliers. So if we wanted to find and pull our horn fuse, let's say for example our horn stopped working, we would read this There we go, alarm and horn. And then our horn is our 20 amp fuse. And we're gonna follow this map and we can see our 20 amp fuses right here. In order to use a fuse puller, you're going to put that around the fuse, chalk your fingers down like pretty far, and then you're gonna pull hard. Now you'll notice that this fuse looks a lot different than our other fuse. Okay, there are lots of different types of fuses, so you want to make sure that when you have spares, you're getting the correct one for your car. So again, we can stick that one right back in, use our thumb to put it flat, and you'll notice, do you see the spares here? Spare, 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 spare. Okay, so we have a whole bunch of spares right here. We have a 15, a 20, a 25, and a 30. So if this car needs spares, we have spares already in there. Now I'm going to put this fuse puller back. It kind of clicked in there. And then we're going to put this back. And I want to show you where the same place is for our interior fuse box. Again, I'm not sure if you can see this. Can you see where it says fuse OBD right there? I'll pull this and you can actually see all of your fuses in there. And again, we have our map right here. Now, if you didn't have your map, let's head on over to our owner's manual real quick. So for this car, if we had our owner's manual and we didn't have a map or had any question, because a lot of these are abbreviated and they're really hard to understand, we can go all the way back to the F for fuse. So fuses, 755. Okay, and this is going to show you not only all the different types of fuses, but what they look like when they're good or when they're bad. Okay, and then if you go even further in here, it shows you exactly where the different fuse boxes are. It talks about what they do. It talks about how to remove them. It talks about the blade type, the cartridge type, and then it even has the nice written out form of what each of these are. So for example, what A bag is, maybe that's airbag, okay? Maybe it's not. You want to actually know what that's written out to mean. So that's what these full definitions are, and they line up with the maps in our fuse boxes. So again, if you have any questions about an electrical device just going out all of a sudden, so let's say you're driving down the road and all of a sudden you just lost a headlight. That's a little weird. So it could be the bulb, it could also be the fuse. The fuse is something easy for you to check on your own. Just make sure that the car is not turned on when you go to check these, and then use your resources, use your map, and make sure that you're finding out which fuse it is that that electrical circuit is tied to. I'm happy to hear any questions you might have. Leave them in the comments, and we will be happy to answer those on any follow-up.